In emergency management, the definition of a stakeholder is any person or entity with a vested interest in the survival or recovery of a given community.
This is the Stakeholder Prepping podcast, where the tactical comes from the practical, and today, you become your own stakeholder.
Here are your hosts, Chris and AC.
Welcome back to Stakeholder Prepping, where you, yes, you, are the stakeholder in your own survival. And I do want to remind all of our listeners, we do have a weekly blog that we put out. It is the only weekly blog that we put out. We don't try to spam your inbox with, look at the newest, coolest thing. And you're not going to get a whole bunch of ads from us. We send out one blog every Sunday at 3 p.m. Central when the newest episode goes live. And that's it. But if you are signed up and have not been getting our emails, Grace,
Yeah, Grace.
you know who you are.
Grace, you know who you are. That's the only one that's kicking back on all of the people we send the blog out to and blast it out. Grace, and I don't know, she must have just entered her email address wrong. There's only one Grace, and it keeps bouncing back. So we are no longer sending Grace emails. But Grace, if you're listening, go sign back up for the blog with your correct email address.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. We just wanted to let you know that's why you haven't been receiving our shining emails every week.
But for those of you that aren't signed up, please go to stakeholderprepping.com, and I think all the way down at the bottom, you can sign up for our blog. You just enter your email address, and then we will send you the blog every week. That's literally, it's pretty much just the stuff we talk about. It's mostly just the products. And we hear from a lot of people that say, oh yeah, I had to stop and take notes. Like, don't do that. Don't take notes. Don't, while you're driving, don't try to take notes of our podcast. That's literally the only reason I put the blog together, is just so people don't have to do that. So don't do that. Don't put yourself in danger because you're trying to take notes on our stupid podcast.
Yeah, and if there's something that we mention that has, a link to Amazon or something, we put the link right there so you can add it to your cart immediately right from the blog page. It'll
Right.
take you straight to that product on Amazon. And we've got a lot of very cool stuff that we throw on there. And before we jump into today's episode, I do want to give a quick shout out, if you're all right with it, AC.
Yeah, go for it.
I want to thank Dale from Cathedral Mountain Knife Works, because he sent us a couple of hunting skinning knives, and I don't know what they are made out of, but I think it's like old industrial saw blades, because they are incredibly hard and just super sharp. Metallurgist made. They are serialized. Like these are the type of backwater bushcraft knife that you would expect to see a prepper carrying. They are awesome.
It's a very utilitarian knife. Yeah, thank you so much, Dale. That was awesome. You should go check out Cathedral Mountain Knife Works. I think he just has a Facebook page, but if you Google that, you'll find it. And yeah, very utilitarian knife. I think you're right. They look like they're made of some kind of very high carbon industrial steel, I think, but they're awesome. I'm really impressed with that. Honestly, all I've pretty much done so far is open mail and cut my finger with it, but they're very sharp. I'm looking forward to using them out in the field.
I was wondering if you'd cut yourself with it already, because
Absolutely. Yeah,
I
no,
have.
very sharp knife. I think it's going to retain a nice edge. But yeah, so yeah, thank you, Dale from Cathedral Mountain Knife Works. That's awesome.
All right. So now that the housekeeping is done, AC, what are we talking about today?
So today, this is going to be the $10 preps episode. And we've done a couple of things like this. We've done like the dollar preps or the dollar food preps. We've done episodes like that, which are really more focused around the budget prepper. Like, if I've got $1 to spend on prepping, what is it? Or if I've got $10 to spend on prepping, what 10 things should I buy? And this is a little different, not just because it's $10 items, but every one of these items are items that you should have regardless of what they cost. This isn't a, hey, let's go find $10 items. This was, let's find things that you truly should have in stock as a prepper that just happen to cost $10, if that makes sense. Like these are all things I have, and I have the money to buy things that cost more than $10, but every one of these things is in stock because they are valuable regardless of what the cost. These just happen to be $10 preps. So this is the $10 preps episode.
Yeah, and we went through this list pretty extensively to narrow it down for an hour. So I think this is going to be a pretty educational episode. And again, we are going to have links to everything on our website on the blog. But AC, go ahead and start us off with your number one. What do you got?
Yeah, I'll start off with water filtration in general. Very important to have, regardless of who you are. You should have some kind of water filter. And for the $10 ish, you can usually get into some kind of life straw. For me personally, I like the one made by a company called Membrane Solutions. And it's the same as a life straw. I mean, probably somebody's going to tell you that one filter is better than the other, but I'll tell you why I like this one. And I do like to go into the science a little bit. So this is all the weird water certifications, the same kind of thing as Life Straw has. It's a 4-stage, 1 micron filter, just a portable water filter straw thing. It's got a 5,000 liter capacity. And so everybody understands like that 1 micron, that is a micrometer. So that is 0.001 millimeters. So things bigger than 0.001 millimeters get stuck in this media filter in these little straws. And I'm pretty sure Life Straw is the same way. So for the Freedom Fraction crowd, that is 1/25,000th of an inch, if that makes sense. It's tiny.
That's itty bitty bitty.
Itty bitty. And so this is a great idea for preppers because it provides this lightweight, portable, immediate access to safe drinking water by filtering out the bacterias and the parasites and those evil microplastics we keep hearing about now and all that kind of stuff from a natural source. So this is, I think, essential for the bug out bag and for kind of the short term survival solution, maybe when your stored water runs low or those kinds of things. And uh, the one thing I will say, and this is why I brought up like that 1 micron filter, is it doesn't filter out viruses. And I've had people ask us that, like, what filters out smaller things and smaller particulate and that kind of thing. So just so everybody understands the science behind that, you'll always see they say something like filters out 99.9% of bacteria or something like that. Viruses are somewhere between 0.004 micron and zero point 0.3 micron. And remember, I said this is a 0.1 micron filter or whatever, or a 1 micron filter. So it won't filter out viruses. They're just smaller. Bacteria in general, they're between zero point 0.2 and 5 microns. So most of the bacteria gets caught in these. And so I would say that to be safe, if you're worried about drinking virus water or something, I would say it's always good to filter and boil, of course. But that's why. Now, boiling won't kill or won't take out things like the heavy metals and the pesticides and things like that. You need some very high tech, like reverse osmosis stuff to get that out of there. But I'm just talking about on the go drinking questionable water. Now, the reason I like this one, the Membrane Solutions brand, and this is not a like no-name brand. They're actually a big brand. They make tons of pool filters and different kinds of filtration products. So they definitely know what they're doing. But I really like this one because on one end, it has a standard 30 millimeter water bottle thread. So if you have just that water bottle that you have in the back of your car or you pick up on the go, you can just screw that in to this filter and just, whatever, stream water on the go or rainwater, any of those kinds of things. You can scoop it up in a normal water bottle, any of the off the shelf water bottles you buy at 7-Eleven, and screw it onto this thing. And you can actually drink right out of the water bottle without kind of holding that funny straw in there, like a lot of those. I'm going to call it like the suck through drinking solutions. I know that kind of sounds dirty, but you know what I mean, right? Like the straw type solutions. And that's why I like this one. So you can just screw it onto the water ball on the go and filter water. And they also make like a 6-liter water bag that rolls up really tight. And so if you had like an overnight stay somewhere, you could just scoop up, say, stream water, screw it into this little life strawy type thing, this membrane solutions thing, and then gravity will do the work for you overnight. And that 6-liter water bag will just drain through. Now, I take one of these with me everywhere I travel. I have a brand new one still in the factory packaging in my backpack everywhere I go all over the world. So this isn't just for like the survival situations, but this is just anywhere you might bump into questionable water. So when I'm traveling, I travel to places where I just don't feel comfortable drinking the water. And oftentimes, even buying bottled water that says it's, filtered in some country you've never heard of, I will just screw one of these bad boys on and it just makes me feel a little better about, not coming down with the case of travel tummy or the explosive poo while I'm on the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't want to be drinking water that's been filtered through somebody's dirty sock. So,
Right, because they'll call it filtered. So anyway, that's my one. I know that was a long diatribe, but that particular brand, Membrane Solutions, we'll put a link to it, but that's why I like it better than the Life Straw. I looking at the specs kind of say that the filters are identical. I like this one that has a standard water bottle filter, so you can just on the go drink it and it's not gonna like spill out because it's attached to that water bottle.
yeah, that definitely makes sense. I've got several different types of water filters. Some of them
Yeah,
have pumps, some of them are the suck through,
right.
some of them, have the gravity assist, but the ones that have the water bottle filters, those are phenomenal.
And this
I've
is kind
always
of
loved them.
in that $10 type solution. So anyway, what is your first $10 prep?
One thing, so having 5 dogs has taught me a lot of lessons as a prepper. And one thing that's always really good to have on hand is an extra dog leash. We actually keep one in the passenger side door of both of our vehicles, um, partially for picking up a stray and being able to take it home, partially for some of the stuff that I'm about to go over. But it's always a really good thing to have an extra dog leash, and specifically a slip lead dog leash. And I'll kind of explain why here. So for $10 on Amazon, you can get a 6-foot slip lead style leash that's made out of 1/2 inch braided rope. And generally speaking, braided rope is often quite a bit stronger than its kind of twisted counterpart. And half braided line like this, or 1/2 inch braided line, it can hold about 8,000 pounds of static weight. Now, that's very, very different than shock load. It's not going to pull, you're not going to jerk your buddy's truck out of a ditch with
Right.
the slip lead,
The
but
8,000 pound truck isn't going to be able to jerk out of the ditch, but like an 8,000 pound rolling load, you may be able to like pull that if you try really, really slowly. Is that what you're saying?
yes, yeah, exactly. Or if you've got to hoist a person, or a whole lot of heavy things, if you've got somebody who maybe has a broken leg and you need to get them up a hill, wrap that slip lead around their belt and start pulling. But
Sure. Okay.
a slip lead dog leash has basically a slip on one end and a closed loop for a handle on the other. And so it makes this great emergency dog leash because it doesn't require the dog to have a collar on. And that is crucial. If you have dogs that have loose collars, or maybe you've got dogs that don't like to wear their collars, or you come across that stray, um, the military uses slip leads for rapid deployment and hot loading in working dog environments like police, military, search and rescue, where speed is critical. They're going to use a slip lead uh, where they can. And because it is kind of like a lasso, if you want to think of it that way. It can be thrown over a dog's head in seconds, which allows for that immediate control without, fumbling with clips or buckles or, all right, sit, no, sit,
Right.
wait,
Been
wait,
there.
no, sit, wait, no, no. Okay, I guess we're not going on a walk. But you can just throw over a slip lead and they're really ideal for moving a dog quickly from a kennel to a vehicle because once the dog is inside, the lead is just slipped off instantly. So they're not wearing that potential snag hazard while they're, working or resting. Um, Emergency rescue and capture for first responders or animal control officers, slip lead is really kind of in their toolkit as an essential tool. Um, I don't recommend doing this because it's dangerous, but you can break up dogfights with it. It is dangerous. Professionals sometimes use slip leads as a safer way to separate fighting dogs. Um, yeah, I will say this: if the two dogs are going at it, never ever try to reach between them to break them up because you're not going to come out with all of the fingers and toes that you had previously attached.
But maybe you just kind of throw one of these lassos in there and see what happens, huh?
Exactly. I've used a slip lead to break up a dog fight before. I threw it into the middle of the dogs. One of them bit down on it, and that was enough for me to pull the jaws backwards off of the other dog, and that broke it up pretty quickly.
Yeah,
But
so you kind of like half a snoot in there.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
okay. That makes sense.
But you never want to shove your fingers into there because that's not going to end well. Uh, there is also the lasso method because a handler can loop a slip lead over the back legs or the neck of an aggressive dog from a distance, which allows them to pull the dog away without putting their hands near the bite zone. That's very similar. And you can use slip leads using a pole if you need a longer reach for keeping the animal away from you. I've seen people use slip leads to control mountain lions
Oh,
using
yeah.
PVC pipe or steel pipe.
All right, all right.
But kind of the pro prepper tip is the P versus 9 rule. So in any survival use, remember the geometry of the loop. If you want the loop to auto release when the tension is gone, you have to ensure the rope feeds through the ring from the top. If you want the loop to stay tight and lock down, you have to feed the rope from the bottom so the tension creates a kink. And we'll have some sort of instructional video or card or something like
You can
that.
find a video online of that. I know what you're talking about, but it's kind of hard to explain, right? I bet we can find a video.
Yeah, you want it to be depending on how you want that animal to react or what you want to do. If you want to just get it up into the car and then pop that lead off, you need to have the right kind of tension. And it can also, these can make improvised hobble or restraints for combatants. You can wrap it around somebody's wrists. And then if you've never seen a police hobble being used, they're kind of funny to watch people go into. um,
Oh, yeah. I mean, cops carry, they call it a hobble, but it's same general idea, right? That you can attach it to the handcuffs and then get somebody behind their back with their feet, and they're kind of like hogtied, basically.
Yeah, and you can do the same thing with animals as you can with people. Um, but you can potentially use it as an emergency tourniquet. You just need a stick to tighten it down. That one, again, a cat tourniquet or something like that is going to be a better option, but sometimes you have to adapt to overcome. And lastly, you can use it as a ridge line for a tarp. So you can use it for shelter. Standard 6-foot slip lead is the perfect length to act as a tensioning line for a small tarp or a poncho shelter or something to that effect. Or even if you're going to use it as a teepee, you can use that lead around a rock and a tarp and then just connect it to a branch up above, and you've got a hanging shelter in minutes.
That's a great idea. This is one I don't own, and I'm going to buy that right when we're done recording. So I'm going to go buy me a couple of these slip leads because they're right. I always have like some paracord, or, some 550 cord in my truck, and I'm like, oh, I could probably fashion an emergency, dog leash if I had to. But you're exactly right. It's the lasso method. Goes over. It's deployable, and you can use it for all kinds of other stuff. So okay, you have convinced me. That is one thing I am buying when we're done here.
Awesome. I
All
did
right.
my job. Podcast
There you
over.
go. Doing it. All right. So my number two, man, hear me out. I'm going spray foam, and spray foam is this amazing prepper tool. I cannot tell you how cool spray foam is, but um now for the extra dollar a can, get the fire break. I stock the fire break spray foam. It's orange and it's this a little more fire retardant, and it's an extra buck. And I'll post a link to a $10 can or less of this. But remember, this is only fire break after it dries. This stuff, if you try to spray it into fire, it is very, very explosive. So,
Uh-huh.
anyway, but the fire break spray foam, and it's the orange one, and it can be used closer to wood stoves and heaters. But spray foam in general is often just a very overlooked survival tool, but it's awesome. It is a powerful adhesive. It's buoyant. It is a buoyant material when it expands. It's a great insulator. It's a great gap filler, and it just becomes very versatile in any kind of grid down scenario. So for preppers, the most important distinction is closed cell versus open cell foam. For survival uses, you almost always want that closed cell because it's more rigid and has a higher R value. So a lot of things, R value is insulation. So a lot of times we're talking about something that's more insulaty, and that's important to have that particular spray foam.
And the closed cell is the waterproof one, right?
That's right. It's waterproof because the water doesn't sit in the little holes. That's exactly right. So uh, now the big one obviously is like sealing up gaps, right? Making an area more insulated. That's really what we do with spray foam in general. It can make a huge difference when every BTU counts when you're trying to stay warm. But you can do cool stuff with it. You can secure loose hardware. Like if you had a hollow core door and you've got a deadbolt that's wobbly, or handle that's wobbly, and you can't get screws to bite anymore, you can inject a little bit of spray foam. When that hardens, you can use that to get a little more bite on your hardware. I do that with glue a lot, or some kind of caulking. You can obviously, fortify gaps anywhere. Pipe protection is a huge one. You can prevent pipes from bursting in an unheated shelter during a freeze by jacketing it in spray foam. It provides sort of this custom fit thermal barrier that's way more effective than those little like foam pool noodle things that they sell to put over your pipes. Um, Obviously, sound dampening is a really big one. Maybe not obviously, but it is. Believe me, if you are running a generator or you have like a noisy vent that could give away your position, coating the surrounding housing or ductwork in spray foam can significantly deaden those vibrations. Pest control, dude, I've talked about this before, right? That mice and rats, they can chew through the spray foam alone, but to create that tactical barrier, you stuff steel wool in a hole or copper mesh. You can use copper mesh too. Then spray foam over it. The foam creates the insulation, holds that mesh in place, but the mesh stops the chewing. Because if you just put spray foam in there, they can pull it out. So they work together. Something else, sealing in like wasp or hornet's nests. If you happen to have a nest in a wall cavity, you can just use that little straw, inject it directly into their entry point, and you can just foam those little bastards into their own little foamy coffin. And then you don't have to deal with the expensive and smelly pesticides. And those bees and hornets, now they won't move in next year. And I do this all the time where I have a hornet's nest that shows up under an eave. I spray it and kill them, and then the next year some other random bunch of hobo bees go and move into the exact same place. So if you spray foam that, then there's nowhere for them to move in. So using spray foam on any of those in wall pests that move in,
That makes sense.
yeah, that's a big one. um Buoyancy and flotation, man. You can make a raft out of this. Spray foam is highly buoyant. In a flood, you could fill an empty 5-gallon bucket or plastic barrels with spray foam. And even if they're punctured, they will not lose buoyancy. This is literally how Boston Whaler built their entire boat enterprise, was on foam filled boats that are unsinkable. Um, so
Nice.
yeah. This is kind of a cool prepper tip, is doing custom packaging. And I've done this a lot where if you've got a box, you can lay down spray foam and then press like visqueen or a plastic bag in, and you can basically make a custom form for any of your fragile gear. And you can basically make this little half clamshell just by pushing it into the spray foam through like a plastic bag. So you don't want the spray foam on your stuff. And then you can repeat that for the top half, and you can make these like a custom sort of shock proof nest with spray foam. Um, a couple other little things, and I'll go quickly on these because I know we're going to run out of time because we just talked about cool stuff. But you know, the straw hack is one that, dude, everybody will tell you that uses spray foam, like, oh, you once you crack it, you have to use the whole can, and that's not true. The spray foam, it before it hardens up, it's actually will melt with like nail polish remover or acetone. So you can take that one-time use can, and if you put a little spray, little acetone through it or nail polish remover, you can clear up that straw and then reuse it. So as long as that foam is uncured, you can reuse that can, and they've got about a year and a half shelf life, really. Um, and now, lastly, with spray foam, remember I'm talking about the fire break, and if you remember earlier, completely unrelated, I talked about noise deadening. So, lastly, I'm not going to say that I have ever done this just the other day to see if it works. But if you had, say, a cylinder that was maybe 2 to 3 inches in diameter with a smaller opening on both ends, and one of them had, let's say, like a 1/2 28 thread on one of those ends. If you had that fire break spray foam and you filled aforementioned cylinder with it and let it dry, and then drilled a hole through the middle. And Chris, I don't know how much more I can say here besides the fact that I absolutely did not test this myself, and it's extremely favorable for some short-lived results,
Okay.
if you know what I
Okay.
mean.
I
But
think I think I get where you're going with
so
this, and this
fire break,
podcast is for entertainment purposes only.
entertainment only. But I have had some very favorable results by filling cylindrical metal tubes that have a 1/2 28 thread on one end. That's all I'm going to say.
So let's move on to my second one.
What's your
I'm
next
super
one?
excited about this one.
Okay.
This is something that is unique and specific, not just to this podcast, but to this particular episode.
Okay.
So we've talked a ton about Vodes Preparedness. We had Brandon with Vodes on. I know a lot of you have used our code Stakeholder 15 to get 15% off of some of those absolutely delicious 20-year shelf life meals. But it is a lot of money, and maybe you just haven't tried Vodes because you don't want to spend $20 or $50 just to find out that you don't like it, even though, trust me, you will. I promise you will. They're so good.
Dude, biscuits and gravy, I'm telling you, you're going to love it. It's my favorite.
Well, Brandon over at Vodes, he's a truly stand-up guy, and he's going to let you get a meal, any meal, shipped to your door for $10 just to try him out. He's giving only our listeners free shipping on a single meal, bringing the shipped price to your door $10. That's normally $3.50 on a single $12 meal that are on sale for $10. So basically, you get 35% off a meal by using the code SH free ship, all one word, but stakeholder SH free ship. So give him a chance, or just use it to start building up your prepper pantry. I really like the breakfast bake. I know AC, the biscuits and gravy are your favorite, and you're going to say those are way better, but 31 grams of protein in that one. They're not just delicious. They are good for you. And oh, will it give you the energy to keep going no matter what? They are phenomenal. I cannot say enough good things about Vodes.
Yeah. And so, I mean, he's given us, just our listeners, that code just for this. And yeah, man, that's true. Nowhere else are you going to get a meal for 2.5 people, right? It's 2.5 servings. So not like 2.5 people. Don't try to feed half a person, but it's 2.5 servings. And yeah, for $10 shipped to your door. So that's just awesome. And like you said, even if maybe you don't think you're going to like it, just having a hot meal in stock that's going to last for 10, 20 years, whatever it is, 25 years, is awesome. So Yeah, I mean, thanks, Brandon, for that, and everybody go buy one. Just buy one and see if you like it. Um, my next one, uh, black contractor garbage bags. So heavy duty black contractor garbage bags, typically like the 3 to 6 mil, and I would say that's the thickness. And then I would say like anywhere north of 40 gallons is good. I found some that kind of fit that bill. I'll also post a link to some that are more expensive, but for the $10 episode, let's talk about, in that sort of 40-gallon range, and maybe it's somewhere around a 3 mil thickness. But these are widely considered to be like the survival gold because they're just far more durable than all those plastic kitchen bags out there. They don't tear or snag very easily. And so for $10, I found some that I like, and I'll post a link. But let's talk about all the cool things you can do with a black contractor bag. The solar still is a big one. If anybody's not done a solar still, just do it just to see if you can. This is one of those cool bushcrafty skills everybody should have. But if you dig a hole and place a container in the center of that hole, and then cover the hole where basically, ideally, it's a hole that has like runoff or muddy water in it or something, but you cover that with a sheet. So you cut the plastic bag open, just a big black sheet, and then you weigh the center down so it dips kind of over your container. What happens is the sun hits that, it gets very, very hot, and then the water and moisture evaporate, leaving all the gunk behind, and then it drips into your little container in the middle, and you can make potable water. You can also make a transpiration bag, so like transpiring, right? Little plants, they sweat. So if you tie a bag over a leafy tree branch, and then you kind of hang that thing down to its side. So when it sweats, it transpires, the water collects in the bottom of the bag. So there's a couple different water catchments. Obviously, rain catchment. If you open up that big black contractor bag, uh, you can get maybe 20 square feet of surface area for rain to hit. And then you can funnel that into like a bladder or a barrel or something like that.
I didn't realize it was that much. That's
It's huge. I mean,
huge.
these big ones, they're massive, and you could lay a couple of these out, and as long as you layer them on top of each other the right way, then water will just continue to flow down. You've got kind of this sterile surface to collect rainwater on. Solar shower is another good one, so you can fill their big black bags that get very hot in the sun. They this black plastic absorbs heat rapidly, so fill them with water, set them out in the sun, they get hot, you can hoist them up and poke a couple of small holes and make a gravity-fed shower out of them. Uh, you can make the super poncho out of these things. So by cutting that small hole in the bottom, that's where your head goes through, and you could do slits for your arms if you like. But unlike the sort of thin emergency ponchos you might find, it's contractor bags, they're very windproof and they're heavy enough that they don't kind of flap around. And so the pro tip there is you can take a little piece of duct tape and make little legs rather than have it a dress. You make a little, short type things out of it, but then they won't blow around so much. Uh,
Okay.
making a debris mattress. So if you've got to sleep outside on the ground and you've got one of these with you, stuff a bag, one of these big black contractor bags full of dry leaves or pine needles, grass, whatever. And you can create a 3 to 4 inch thick insulating barrier between your body and the cold ground. And that prevents conduction, obviously. And that's the fastest way that we lose body heat. And don't make me do the Bear Grylls quote again, but remember, I'm going to do it. Hold on. Remember, a layer on the bottom is worth two on top. So
You're getting better.
I'm getting
I
better
will
at it.
say you're getting better.
And dude, if you had all this like, leaves and pine needles and stuff and a can of spray foam, dude, you're going to make like this comfy little body pillow mattress thing. It's going to be awesome. So it actually sounds super comfy. You can do the emergency bivy sack with one of these. So if you crawl inside, now this is very crucial that don't put your head inside because you could suffocate and die, but also your breath, because they're not breathable, they will get very moist inside if you're breathing inside them. So keeping your head out, but you can make an emergency bivy. And then the big one for me is the light blocking. This is my big one, is that in a bug-in scenario, you can take these black contractor bags, cut them open into sheets, and you can attach them to your windows or anywhere where you get light leaking. And then people in your neighborhood won't come knocking on your door if you have power. If you're the only house in the neighborhood that's got power and people are seeing lights through your windows, they're going to come knocking. And if you put these black plastic bags, line them up over your windows, then you won't have to use your get off my lawn voice.
Well, and you may want to use your get off my lawn
Yeah,
voice,
it's
but
fun to use anyway. Yeah, you're right. And then lastly, obviously sanitation and hygiene, right? These are big, thick bags. If you need to make a dry toilet, if you need to do field surgery and just, get all the other gunk and stuff, you can make a kind of a medical tarp out of these things. And then when you're done, getting blood and poo and everything all over it, you just roll them up into another one of these bags, seal it, and you're not going to bump into any of the biohazard stuff. And then obviously they are buoyant when you fill these up with air and tie them off. So again, if you had the spray foam, you're doubling up on these things. But you could take a black contractor bag and fill it up with air, tie it off. And while this is not a Coast Guard approved life vest, two air filled black bags tucked into your arms, man, they'll help you stay afloat if you have to cross a body of water. And like I said, bonus points if you use the spray foam there. So there's a billion things you can use black contractor bags for, but that's I mean, those are something that you just have to have in stock because you can do all kinds of cool stuff with them.
well, and I'm thinking, you're talking about fording a river. Well, if you had 3 or 4 of those black contractor bags filled with spray foam, you could attach them to your pack and then basically just swim behind your pack and float across the river without drowning.
Yeah, 100%. Like you could take your pack and put it in one of these and then use the other one for buoyancy, fill it up with spray foam and air, and then tie your pack to it. And now you've got this big buoyant, you basically, you cock the wagon and float across, right? But yeah, you could have this
Exactly.
big buoyant thing and your pack won't get wet. So yeah, exactly. There's a bunch of things you can use this for. What's your next one?
The probably gold standard of what everyone thinks a prepper is duct tape. And
100%.
specifically, I'm talking about the Gorilla brand duct tape. Standard duct tape is a staple, but Gorilla is specifically prized by preppers because of its, duct tape on steroids attitude. It has a much thicker adhesive layer. It's a more durable, weather resistant shell, reinforced fabric backing that makes it structurally viable for repairs, where standard duct tape would peel or snap. And I mean, it's black, which just makes it a little bit cooler, but it's harder to see at night. It's going to absorb more heat during the day if you do have to patch your solar shower, anything
Yeah.
along those lines. Um, because duct tape is so versatile, you can use it for almost anything, but specifically something like high performance gear repair. Because Gorilla Tape adheres better to rough and uneven surfaces like wood, stone, heavy canvas, it excels at things like footwear reconstruction. It's thick enough to act as a temporary sole or to wrap a delaminating boot if your sole is starting to peel away, or if you step on something and get a hole in your boot. The high adhesive content prevents it from sliding off the boot when the boot flexes. Like I said, you can do tenting and tarp patching. Standard tape, it peels in the rain. It's going to peel back with the sun. It cracks. It's kind of dirty and nasty after about a week. But Gorilla's all weather or standard black tape is highly water resistant. It can actually patch a gash in a tent or a hole in a canoe or something like that. So if your bug out plan is to go via canoe, definitely keep some of this on hand. You can use it for tool handle reinforcement. Wrap it up around that cracked axe or shovel handle because it's going to provide enough structural compression to keep the wood fibers together, and it adds, this high friction grip. Improvised, again, we're getting into non-recommended uses, but emergency medical, the moleskin substitute if you feel that blister forming, a small piece of Gorilla Tape over that hot spot is going to give you a slick, durable surface that stops the friction. The problem is if you've already got a blister there, you probably want to use actual moleskin if you can, because it's going to tear all of that skin off as soon as you
Oh, right. Yeah.
have that blister fully formed. But you can use it to secure a broken limb to a branch or a trekking pole. Unlike cordage or rope, tape provides that 360-degree compression, so it can help to reduce the micro movements of a fractured bone. I have actually seen a rescue video. I can't remember where I saw it, but somebody had a car accident off of a cliff and they had a compound fracture in their femur. And the person on scene took like a 2x4 or something out of the back of their truck and went down and taped his leg together and hauled him back up to the road where the ambulance was waiting. And it absolutely saved his life, but I
Yeah.
don't know what brand of tape he was using. Was
Yeah.
it Gorilla or not?
Dude, it's crazy that Gorilla Tape just kind of came out of nowhere. Like, if you were like the standard duct tape sales guy back in the 90s, you were on top of the world. And then, like, Gorilla Tape, like, came out of nowhere and just, like, ate your lunch, man. Like,
Yeah,
Gorilla's what's up for,
100%.
I don't know where that stuff came from, but you're right. It's like, it's the better tape. It's the better mousetrap.
Yeah, you can use it for fire starting. Duct tape is actually very flammable because of the rubber-based adhesive and that fabric mesh. Um, and actually, the guys over at Grimm Workshop, they swear by Gorilla Duct Tape Tinder because it's easy to light. It burns really well. It even has a wet weather fire starting capability. So if it's damp out, you're not absolutely screwed. But in a survival situation, Gorilla Tape really is an excellent extender for your fire because you can tear off a 6-inch strip, shred it into thin fibers, or roll it into a tight wick and then light it. And it's going to burn with this really hot localized flame for several minutes, which is long enough to kind of dry out that super small kindling to get something going. It's it's almost like your fireproof match, but you can splint your leg with your matchstick. Um, you can also make soft hardware with it. Duct tape cordage, if you twist long strips of Gorilla Tape into this tight vine, you can create surprisingly strong rope, especially if you braid it. But because Gorilla Tape has a higher tensile strength than standard brands, that rope can actually be used for lashing shelters or even as that emergency slip lead. Um, Again, with the blackout light discipline, if you are bugging in, you can use Gorilla Tape in conjunction with those black contractor bags to block out your windows. It is thick enough to be 100% opaque, so you don't have to have the contractor bags if you've got enough tape.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, sure. Yeah.
and taping it over the gaps in door frames or windows ensures that no light escapes. You're maintaining that low profile at night, especially in those gaps that AC's trash bags aren't covering. That can be crucial. And lastly, kind of the flat pack trick. So if you carry a full bulky roll of Gorilla Tape, it's kind of inefficient for a go bag. So you can actually wrap it around basically any smooth surface you're already carrying, and you can put 3 to 5 feet on your, Bic lighter or a pen and barely notice. Any of the Grimm spool cards, even around your water bottle. This is something that we do every time we travel, because we always take a Sharpie with us, no matter where. We wrap duct tape around that Sharpie, and we've got emergency repairs
Sure.
and something to write with.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll have a link to that on Amazon, and that's a super, super awesome buy with just the versatility and the adaptability of Gorilla Brand duct tape. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one. I have noticed it's sort of climate dependent on where you store that too, because I keep duct tape in my garage, and then in the summer the garage gets very, very hot, and I've noticed that those rolls will kind of like melt a little bit, the adhesive it melts a little bit, so you need to kind of be careful where you store those things. But yeah, duct tapes, it's just that's the prepper tool, right? That's like that's the MacGyver of prepper tools. My next one, Noah radio, man. If you don't have one already, you basically never listen to a single thing we say and you hate us. So you also hate being alive. So there are $10 NOAA radios on Amazon, and we will post a link. So NOAA, so all the NOAA weather frequencies and AM and FM radio for $10. And I'll post to the link the one I like, the one I have tested. And the reason I like this one is one, it's got an analog dial. So you can tune it before you turn it on if battery life is super critical. It's AA powered, so there's not an internal battery that can fail. It's got a speaker for your group NOAA weather sessions, and it has a headphone jack for the solo preparedness. And it's super tiny. It's like the one I have is 5 by 3 by 1 inches, and it comes in 3 different colors. So if colors matter, if you want to color coordinate your sort of boho prepper contractor chic apparel choices, then you can do that. But yeah, there's one I like for $10 and it's awesome, but it's AM, FM, and NOAA. So get one of those. If you don't have a NOAA radio, man, you just haven't listened to anything we've ever said.
They're super cheap and they are unbelievably life-saving. You need to get one regardless of whether it's $10, $30 or
Right.
$200. You need one.
Yep.
Same with my next one. And this is another case of you have not been listening to us if you don't already have this in triplicate. But if you have a 5-pack of Bic lighters, you wouldn't have to listen to half of our episodes because there's almost no better way to start a fire. And they really do last forever. You can, if you've got a 5-pack and you're 40 years old, you're not
They last forever. It's crazy. A Bic lighter lasts forever.
And I don't know why or how, but they do.
It's magic.
And they just keep going. But you can wrap that Gorilla Tape around the lighter. The improvised technique from a few episodes back that AC went over. It doesn't cost you an entire lighter, but just having the 5-pack of Bic standard lighters, it's good to have the skills on how to strike a flint and steel and how to use a pyro starter and how to use all of your other fire starters like fire cubes and Blackbeard's cordage and
all that,
everything like that. But a Bic lighter is undoubtedly your most cost-efficient method of starting a fire.
You're starting the fire with the Bic lighter, whether you're using all those cool fire brands of, fire starters, but starting it with the Bic lighter, man. You're right. Just have the 5-pack. They'll last forever. You've got one everywhere you need one. And then, you don't have to listen to half our episodes about like starting emergency fires and stuff.
You still should, but you don't have to.
You still should, but you don't have to. Now, my next one, I've talked about this before, but salt, man. Go get yourself 10 pounds of salt. For $10, take $10, go get 10 pounds of food grade salt. Either the 10 1-pound little circular, boxes of Morton's salt, or I found 6 1-pound 10-ounce cans of Morton salt for $10 online, shipped to your door. I'll post a link to that too. Now, there are some good reasons to stock both iodized and non-iodized salt. So, I don't know, maybe get 5 pounds of each. But the drawbacks of iodized salt is that it has about a 5-year shelf life versus the indefinite shelf life of just salt. And some people say that in canning and fermentation recipes, the iodine can cause issues. I've heard people say that before, but your body does need the potassium iodide. So you may want to get maybe some of each. Get 5 pounds of each because that iodized salt is good for you. And you may experience some kind of nutrient deficiency in an SHTF situation. Now, what I will say is definitely get the table salt. And I am a big fan of that Himalayan sea salt. It's cool, it's pink, it has some dissolved solids that are probably good for you. It makes you seem classy and worldly, and you can talk about yourself at parties. But the salt particles itself of that Himalayan sea salt, they're too large. Like the salt crystal themselves are too big. They don't get into the nooks and crannies of game meat. So if you're trying to preserve meat with it, that Himalayan salt can pose some problems when we're talking about packing. It doesn't make a good packing salt, but the pink salt is still cool. But for the $10, I would just go get the 10 pounds of Morton salt, or 5 of the iodized and 5 of the non-iodized, but get salt. Salt, your body requires it for you to live. It has a billion uses that we've gone over in a bunch of different episodes. But yeah, take $10, make sure you have $10 worth of salt on hand.
All I can think about is that commercial from the 90s. Do you have any Grey Poupon?
Pardon
Y-
me, do you have any iodized salt?
Sure. For 30 carbine, you can have
Yeah,
as much as
I
you
will
want.
I will trade you salt for anything. Anyway, salt is a really good thing to have. I told the Lewis and Clark story a couple episodes back,
Yeah.
right, about how important salt is. I mean, they carried cauldrons across the 3,000 miles or whatever because salt was just that important. So it is that important. If you don't have a decent stash of salt, just go buy it. Take $10 and go buy 10 pounds of table salt, food grade table salt. Very important. And yeah, cheap money.
Yeah. And so for my last one, this is a first aid item that we learned about from Charlie. You remember when we were talking about kind of if there was
Yeah.
one piece of first aid that could save a life in a trauma situation, it
It
would
was
be
mezcal tequila. Was that what it was? It was.
yes,
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Yep.
let's just get hammered.
Right.
Um, Hemostatic gauze.
Oh,
And
right.
I found a 3 by 59 inch sealed pouch of kaolin hemostatic gauze that you can get for $10 shipped. And it's compact, it's lightweight, it is highly effective for first aid, and it's a solution that can help you stop bleeding and promote healing in kind of a variety of emergency situations. The one that I found is made of natural kaolin. The gauze is safe, skin friendly, and easy to use. It was hypoallergenic or non-allergenic first aid gauze, and it really accelerates natural blood clotting and it stops bleeding within minutes. Whether you're an outdoor adventurer or that tactical professional, or simply someone who wants to be prepared for emergencies, quick clot gauze is a must-have for your first aid kit. If you're like AC and just slice your fingers open with every possible tool
All the
available,
time. All the time.
that could be good to have on hand. And getting into the science behind it, the way it works is kaolin enhances the intrinsic clotting cascade. And so these kaolin impregnated gauze, they promote the development of hemostatic clots that form in your bloodstream following a brief period of that post application hemorrhage. So when you put it on, it actually encourages your body to stop bleeding and start clotting. And the way that you can tell it's working is the gauze will actually adhere to the injury, and why you need it. It's hemostatic dressing, also called quick clot gauze. It's because of that stable hemostatic effect that kaolin gauze can stop bleeding fast. It is really essential to have wound dressing in your trauma kits and your first aid kits and travel kits for this. And if you do use it, we're not talking about a small little finger nick. We're talking about a pretty significant bleed. Um, you probably want to seek medical attention if you need to use it, but it will stop that bleeding. Downside, if you're using it, it does tend to get a little warm, so it can kind of burn your fingers or feel like it's going to burn your fingers, but it's not actually going to burn you.
Dude, quick clot, it's such an important thing to have. I found one, I don't remember which brand it was, but I found one, it was Black Friday, and they had like a 2-pack for $13, and they're tiny. They're tiny little vacuum sealed little peel open things. And you're right, it's like that. It's a couple inches by a couple of feet. But yeah, that's what Charlie said, is if there was one piece of gear he could have in a first aid situation, it'd be that quick clot, that hemostatic gauze, because you can get it in there right next to the bleeding and make it stop. And I'm not sure if like kaolin is different than like the quick clot stuff. I don't know the difference between them, but having that kind of quick clot type gauze on you everywhere. I have some that I just carry. It's in my wallet. It's just tiny. It's just a great piece of, on the go first aid equipment. So we have a little bit of time. Can we throw some honorable mentions in there, Chris?
Yeah, yeah.
The ones that
Where do you
didn't
want to
make it?
start?
Yeah, so I'll tell you one that I like is Aquifer. Do you know what Aquifer is?
I think so, but remind me.
Aquifer is it's like Vaseline, but way cooler. It's like Vaseline's like cooler older brother. Like if Vaseline like went and became like a Walmart greeter and like Aquifer went to college and got a STEM degree or something. It's cooler than Vaseline. Vaseline is all petroleum and Aquifer is I think it's only like 40% petroleum. But if you are someone that stocks Vaseline, you can stock Aquifer instead. And it basically does all the things that Vaseline does, but it does it better. As far as like um sealing in moisture on wounds, it's better for wound care. Um it's kind of like a better version of Vaseline. I think most people stock Vaseline, but they don't know really what they're using it for, and Aquifer is just sort of the better version of that. And so for $10, Aquifer is one that I would have on hand, especially for like treating those injuries that you don't want to scar and things like that. Aquifer does a better job of sealing in moisture, and it's still good for all the normal Vaseline things because it has enough petroleum, so you can still use it like as a fire starter. A lot of people do that, soak like the cotton balls in Vaseline thing. You can still do that with Aquifer, but Aquifer is just kind of the cooler version of uh of Vaseline. And then wasn't that there was another Charlie item I think that was $10, right? That we were talking about.
Tourniquet.
Right.
Yeah, the
Tourniquet.
cat
You
combat
can get
application tourniquets.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if you can get a cat brand for $10, but close, right? You can get a
Right.
tourniquet for $10.
Right. And the important part there is learn how to use it because if you're applying a tourniquet, somebody needs to go to the hospital.
That's exactly you're right, yeah, and what we say, you apply the hasty tourniquet, and then you apply the deliberate tourniquet later, right? We learned that from Charlie, but, any kind of tourniquet that you can just use as a hasty tourniquet, that's that's a big one. Um, One of my others that was on the list, and it just didn't make it, and I didn't think we'd have time, is Visqueen, which Visqueen does a lot of the things the big plastic contractor bag does, but it's clear. And where Visqueen is better is obviously you can get a big giant sheet of it. But for like the impromptu like greenhouse and cold frame gardens, man, if you have a couple pieces of PVC and you can make like those big hoops over your garden, you can put Visqueen over, secure it with a little bit of Gorilla Tape, and you can extend that growing season anywhere. Anywhere you are, you can extend your growing season by adding Visqueen over that open garden box because it just acts as that little bit of thermal barrier, that little bit of frost proofing, and you're making like your own little impromptu greenhouse. So that's the one thing, simply because it's clear. But then you can do all the other stuff with the Visqueen that you could do with the contractor's bag, besides like the blackout shades, Um, but yeah, Visqueen, impromptu tarp stuff. You can use it for any kind of water break. One thing I had read, I think this may have been in one of James Wesley Rawls' books, but it was in a book I had read where they had used Visqueen as like a barrier in the home when people got sick, like in their little makeshift sick bay. They hung up Visqueen and then they could kind of separate the home and have like, the sick area of the home. So if someone had the flu or some illness or some disease or whatever, it was an easy way to separate them from the other people by just not letting airflow between the rooms. Just put Visqueen up and you could kind of make that uh, that sterile environment in the one room. So I liked that.
Yeah. And I think my last honorable mention, probably because I'm a little fat kid at heart, um, the 46 pack of Slim Jims, whatever flavor you want. They're going to be a quick protein and energy boost if you are on the road. And if you save the wrappers, they are extremely flammable. But
Oh
they
yeah.
they last a very long, long time. Even I've eaten Slim Jims that are probably 2 or 3 years old. They're a little bit hard, they're a little tough. You've gotta kinda get a little bit more chewing going to get them down, but they're they're still nutritious or I won't say nutritious. They
There's
still have
protein in
nutritional
them.
value,
There's
and there's
protein in them.
protein.
Yeah, don't read the ingredients on Slim Jims. Do not read the
Yeah,
ingredients.
don't do that.
But you're
But
exactly right. Like, throw them in the pack and just have those little Slim Jims on the go. That's insane. 46 for like what it was like $11.
I want to say, yeah, it
It's
was right at
crazy.
10.
That's a lot. I think there's like six G's a teen per serving or something, a Slim Jim, and
Yeah.
they're made out of every animal. I don't think they're made out of just one. That's the coolest thing. It's like, yeah, you're like, it's like Noah's Ark in your mouth.
Yes,
Just
that's a
like
great way to look at it.
there's just everything in them. But you're right. That's a good one. That's a great one. 46 little individually wrapped little Slim Jims. And if you just need that, yeah, the quick hit of protein on the road, they last forever. And I didn't think about the wrappers. They're super flammable because they're covered in every kind of animal oil ever known to man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You'd light a match or your 5-pack of Bic lighters close to one, and
Right.
there's your match.
There it
So,
is.
yeah, you can use it as kindling or even tinder to help start that emergency fire. So,
I
I
like
think
it.
Slim Jims are a good call on it. Anything else that we want to add on last minute?
You know what? No, that was awesome. Every one of those things, if you I don't know how many we went over. Is that 12 or 14 or whatever? If you had $140, go buy every one of these. Go buy the Vodes. If you do not have any freeze-dried meals at home, have one for $10 shipped to your door. There's no way he's making any money on that. He's just doing it for us because he likes us and he's a nice guy. But go go buy the one pack of Vodes. I'm probably going to go do it just cuz, but buy one,
Yeah.
have a hot meal in stock, and you won't ever be sad about that. And it's going to last for absolutely ever. I can guarantee you at some point in the next 25 years, you are going to wish you had one extra spare hot meal and just go do it. So
Yep.
that's probably my favorite one. It's like besides the dog leash, it's the only one I don't have on the list. And do you want to talk about next week? Because I'm really excited about our guest next week.
Yeah, I think Brandon at Vodes, I think he's doing this just because he feels bad for us because we've got the perfect face for radio. But
Yeah,
next
100%.
week, next week, we have a subject matter expert that's coming on that will probably blow you away with his expertise level. But Sam from Mad Gear is going to be on talking about contingency planning and pace planning and everything along those lines. And it's going to be phenomenal.
And super secret Navy stuff we're not allowed to talk about, probably, maybe.
Probably.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We'll see if we can get him to crack open the
I
can on
think
that one.
I think we can. We're persuasive. So yeah, no, I think that about wraps it up. If you're cool, this was a good one. I like that. I'm actually gonna go now and buy some stuff.
Yeah, a little bit of a shopping spree. So,
Yep.
as always, join us next week. We're going to have a great time then with Sam from Mad Gear. But until then, remember, you are your own stakeholder. We will see you then.